Hello friends, and welcome to the last day of 2018. Whether it was a great year for you, a bad year for you, a year with great parts and bad parts, whatever it is, it's kind of the last day we get to put a flag in the ground and then start with 2019. And because we are doing that, I thought I would do a sort of top 5 products of the year and bottom 5 products of the year. These are not products that were necessarily, or are, I know for most of them, released in 2018, but they are products that I did, for the most part, reviews of in 2018. Not all of them. There's a couple in here that I've mentioned in some videos, but didn't do specific reviews on. But I thought I would go through and go, okay, there are products I've liked, products I haven't liked, but let's take like the top 5 of each. And then if you want more details about them, for most of them, there are videos there. I thought I would start out with the top 5 because I feel like a lot of people tend to like seeing the things you didn't like part of it. But let's start out with the positive. And what I will do is kind of work up to the top product, although I didn't put a lot of thought into ranking this. Anyway, let's jump into it. I have used all the products today, and I'll give a little bit of why I like each of them. In the number 5 spot here, we have the Ciate Starstruck limited edition liner. Now I will say, although this is limited edition, I also have the Fierce Flicks liner, which is very much the same, just without the stamp end of it, which is a little star. So I have been trying to do more looks where I have a little bit of wing or black liner because it really does bring my eyes out a little bit more. The reason why I don't tend to be either if I feel like the liner is going to get messy through the day or just if I'm doing my makeup really quickly. And I found that I've really been enjoying using this one. This is, if you've seen me with a winged liner in the last 6 to 8 months, it's been this one that you've seen. I just find that it has a really good, nice, controllable tip on it. It is that sort of felt tip sort of applicator there. I don't find that the formula smudges very much or runs very much. Now, if you have like a full-on cry fest and rub your eyes, yeah, it's going to move around. I do have one eye that tends to get a little bit watery, and if I'm like rubbing and rubbing and rubbing at it, the wing is going to go away, but it doesn't tend to move around and transfer to my lids and do weird things on its own. I have been using this a lot and it has stayed black and inky. It has gone over any kind of eyeshadow I'm using, no problem. So every time I think, let me do a winged liner, this is the liner that I am reaching for. I enjoy it. I've enjoyed a lot of the Ciate products that I've tried, so this is my number 5 for the year. I'll say as well that a lot of products that I considered were ones that I really like, but I don't tend to use as much. And these products are the ones that I have actually been reaching for consistently. In the number 4 spot, we have this Cover FX Blurring Primer. So this is a pore filling primer. It's basically very much like the Professional primer. But I just find this goes on really nicely. You get a crap ton of it in here. It really does fill the pores, and it also smooths things out, gives things a nice smooth surface, and has a little bit of grip to it for putting your foundation on over top. So I will put this not only in the areas where I have pores, I'll also put it a little bit in the areas where I have texture. You know, I tend to have some fine lines around my mouth. I'll sort of put it over there as well. My nose tends to get a little bit dry in the winter when I'm blowing my nose a lot. I'll put the primer over there. And especially if I'm going to be using a highlight that brings out texture a little bit, I'll put the primer there. You know, it's very much like the Professional. There are other blurring primers out there, but I've always really liked Cover FX. I think they use good ingredients. They're a good business. There's nothing like dramatic about them in any way. So I've really been enjoying using this one. And when I want very smooth looks or I just want something sort of matte looking, this is what I've been going for and really enjoying it. The next product here is a lip product that I didn't do a specific video on, but I feel like 50% of the time when I'm doing my makeup, I'm using this lipstick. This is an Ofra long-lasting liquid lipstick. I know a lot of people really love this formula, but it's specifically this color. This is in Verona, and it's the product that I have on right now. It's like a neutral brown shade. And so often if I am actually doing something with my eye makeup, it's in those sort of oranges or red kind of ranges. And I just find that so many lipsticks that I have pull pink or pull mauve, and it really clashes with each other. So you can do a nude lip in that case, and that will bring it all together. But if I want something a little more impactful on my mouth, I find that this is a neutral that brings some color to my lips, but isn't going to clash with orange looks or red looks or really warm tone kind of things. I also find that although this is a liquid lipstick, I don't use it like a liquid lipstick. I find that I put it on my lips, more a little bit on my bottom lip, not even doing the whole like lining around kind of thing, and then just move it around, and it's good. And I mean, it doesn't dry down crusty in any way. It doesn't really feel like a liquid lipstick. It feels like a bullet lipstick almost that stays in place pretty well, if that makes sense. It doesn't have any kind of like crusty thing that happens. It doesn't flake off. It doesn't like look really gross when you eat or drink and you're left with like, you know, the inner rim of your lips with nothing left on it. It's almost just like a liquid lipstick, not a long-lasting matte sort of one. And I just find this color to be so complimentary and just work with so many looks that even for this look today, I originally wasn't even thinking of this as being in my top 5. And then I was going through a couple of other lipsticks and I'm like, oh, nothing's looking right with this look. And then I was like, this is the one I'm going for. And then I realized I'm always reaching for this one, put this in the top 5. So here we are at number 3, specifically the shade Verona in the Oh For Long Lasting lipstick. In the number 2 spot, I put this MAC Strobe Cream. It's another kind of primer, and I don't really use these at the same time, the blurring primer and the strobe cream. It depends on what you want, because this is a really unique luminizing kind of primer. They come in different shades. This one is Pink Light. It has a pink iridescence to it. And when you put it on and then put your foundation on top in a rather quick manner so they kind of blend with each other a bit, it just gives a really beautiful luminosity to the skin, and it is somehow natural but has that color shift at the same time. I think it would be gorgeous as like a highlight on the body. I just think it is beautiful, and I know it's been around, I believe, for quite a while, but having discovered this for myself this year, I really like it, and I've been reaching for it a lot. And the number 1 place in my top 5 goes to the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Invisible Cover Foundation. This is so good. Like, if somebody said to me, go into Sephora and pick any product that you would like, this is what I would go for. For me, the only drawback for this is that it's not drugstore priced, but it's just so nice. So if you have skin like mine where you don't want crazy full coverage, you want your skin to look like skin and have maybe not anything show through. For me, it's because I have freckles and I don't want to completely blank out all the freckles on my face because it will just look a little weird. So I don't mind when some of those freckles poke through, or show through, I should say. Or if you have perfectly fine skin, there's nothing you necessarily want to cover. You just want to cover any redness, even out the tone of your skin. This is just gorgeous. It's like your skin but better, and you can build it up. You can probably build it up to about medium coverage. It just feels so light. It feels like you're not wearing anything. It looks like your skin. I never have anybody compliment me on my skin, but I had friends tell me how good my skin was looking when I was wearing this, and it is just everything that you want a lightweight, light to medium coverage foundation to be. If you are on the lookout and you want something that is not cakey, that doesn't settle into lines, that doesn't make you oily or dry, this is beautiful. And I'm doing the kind of thing that you shouldn't do when you really like something and you try not to use it because you don't want the bottle to run out, but I should just use this and then go and buy myself the full size because it is gorgeous. I'm going to do a couple of honorable mentions, like really close to the top 5 kind of things that just got edged out by that Ophir lipstick for one thing. And that is this Ace Beauty palette, the Grandiose palette, and this Wander Beauty Unlashed Volume and Curl Mascara. And we'll talk about this first. I adored the formula of this. I adored the colors in here. This palette made me feel creative, made me come up with a ton of different looks that I loved all of them. You know, it's a great thing when you have a company that has a really great formula and then also does a really unique and interesting color palette. Like you've got the pinks and the peaches and then some golds and some coppers, and it's just a burgundy. Like there's so much you can do with this, and I just really enjoy it. And since I loved this so much, I've been seeing, I think on Instagram, some Ace Beauty palettes coming up. And, you know, I try not to go overboard buying makeup, but I see those and I'm like, oh, like look at those gorgeous colors. And I know I like the formula so much and it's just, I want them. But this, I really enjoyed this, and it was a surprise. It sort of snuck up on me, but I really did like it. The only reason it's not in the top 5 is that I'm trying out other eyeshadows. I don't always reach for really bold colors. That tends to make slightly bolder looks. I've used it on my eyes today. So I don't use it as consistently as some of the items that ended up in the top 5. This mascara, however, I do use all the time. It's a workhorse, and it doesn't necessarily add spectacular volume or length, but it's just the thing I reach for all the time because it does add volume and length. It makes your lashes look really nice. And again, this is like a workhorse kind of product because, did I say workhorse? Anyway, this is the kind of thing you reach for when you don't want to worry about your mascara. It applies beautifully. It's not one of those messy giant wands where you end up like trying not to hit your eyelid with it. It just goes on really beautifully. The curve of the wand is really nice there. It hugs close to the base of your lashes. It builds well. It never gets clumpy. It doesn't make spidery lashes, and because of the curve you can get really close to the bottom lashes and not end up hitting your under eye skin with it, and I am terrible for doing that, and this product keeps me from doing that. It doesn't flake, it doesn't run. Now again, if you're bawling your eyes out and rubbing your eyes, yeah, it's gonna get places, but I never worry with my eyes watering or anything that this is becoming a disaster on my face. It is what you reach for when you want your lashes to look good, you want it to apply well, and you want it to last well throughout the day. This is really good. Now let's get into my worst 5 products. And there weren't a lot of products that were spectacular fails, but there were products that either just didn't do anything and were expensive, or I just really didn't like. So in the number 5 spot is the Dr. Brandt Luminizer. I just found that it didn't do anything, and it's an expensive primer, and there are a lot of really great luminizing primers out there. I really like some Dr. Brandt products, the microdermabrasion one, so I was really excited to get this luminizing primer. And then it was this weird thing where it's like they were telling you it was luminizing but also pore filling, but you don't really want luminizing and pore filling in the same place on your face, so it was a little weird. And I just felt like my skin didn't like it very much, and it was a pricey product, so didn't enjoy it. And I'm not even really sure who I'd recommend it to because it just seemed like a bit of a confusing product. In the number 4 spot is the Pretty Vulgar Blush. You know, it's not the worst thing in the world, but for an expensive blush, it was in really like cheap packaging and also was so incredibly pigmented. It was hard to get it to work well and not mess up the look you were doing. And I just didn't enjoy the formula of it very much or the packaging of it. And again, it was pricey. So that is why I made it into the number 4 spot. In the number 3 spot is the Way Finishing Cream. And I think part of my disappointment with this product was that it felt like it was really hyped. Like I hear people talk about Way quite often. I didn't think it had a particularly great smell. It didn't really do anything for my hair. My hair actually knotted up a little bit more while using it. It just didn't seem to do anything. And again, like it almost made things worse. So that's why it's in the number 3 spot. In the number 2 spot, and I kind of went back and forth on the number 2 and number 1, but in the number 2 spot is the Bang Beauty Gel Liner. I really enjoyed using the gel liner from Pretty Vulgar, and I thought to myself, excellent, here's another gel liner. You know, it's in a brown color, so it's slightly different. And that crap did nothing. It was terrible. It just balled up. You couldn't actually get it to stick to your lid. It was completely dried up. Even when you dug down into it, the product was just dry. And it wasn't just mine. A lot of people were saying the same thing. They were just terrible. And I don't even think the problem was that the products were dried up. I think the product itself, the way that they made it, was just terrible. It like balled up on your lid. It just gathered and then wouldn't stick, and you would go in and go in and go in and it just wouldn't stick there. I remember when I was doing that review, I thought I was going to put it on and then do a wear test. I ended up not even doing a wear test because I couldn't get the product to go on my eyes. It was terrible. So then you're probably wondering what the number one category is, or the number one product, but I say category because it's more of a group of products. I have tested out this year a couple of peel-off masks, with a couple of them being a little more harsh than others, but just in general peel-off masks. I'm going to forget, there's like the Derma Lace Appeal one, and there was I'll list them here. I don't know who should be using peel-off masks, and I get that there is something really satisfying about them. Like, not to gross you out here, but I have been known to watch a couple of pore strip videos that show like all the stuff that people have gotten out of their pores. But here's the thing, is it's not good for your skin. Whether you have skin that doesn't have a lot of blackheads, or, you know, skin that has a lot, skin that is oily, you know, a lot of what you're pulling out when you use peel-off masks is just the sebum that is in your pores. And having a peel-off mask on your whole face, I mean, you're irritating your face, you're pulling off the sort of baby hairs that are there. It does do exfoliation. It pulls off like the outer layer of your skin, but it does it in such a pulling, traumatizing, irritating way for your skin, when you could use either a exfoliating product or a chemical exfoliant that is going to do the same thing but be much gentler for your skin. And then folks who are using things to pull out, you know, blackheads, whiteheads, or sebum, it causes your pores to look larger. You're irritating your pores, you're pulling out stuff that, in the case of sebum, is supposed to be there. And if you are somebody who is using a peel-off mask consistently, your pores are going to look larger and larger over time. So on the one hand, I get it because it's very satisfying to do, but on the other hand, I don't think anybody should be using them. I think if you have blackheads and whiteheads, there's ways to extract those, ways to use products that will like sort of help bring those out without doing sort of the more violent's not the right word, the more irritating stripping of your face and nose and pores. So that is my bottom product, my top least favorite product category that I am going to try to stay away from in the future are peel-off masks. So that was my top 5 and bottom 5. I will put a note in here that I didn't include anything that was in my skincare series week. If you've not yet watched that, I did a whole week, 7 videos in a row of reviews of skincare products. I did that so recently that I thought it wouldn't be as interesting in this video. I do love some things in there. I loved the ordinary oil. You know, I loved the moisturizer that I use. And there were some things that I really didn't like that eye cream that was terrible for your skin. But again, I did those fairly recently, so I thought I wouldn't bother including them in this list. I hope you guys have a wonderful New Year's, a wonderful start to your 2019. I will be putting out some more videos this week. This week and next week are crazy busy for me, so we may not get 3 per week, but we'll get there. That's fine. Let me know what you guys are doing for New Year's. Let me know your top and bottom picks for the year. Put all of that in the comments down below. I do respond to every comment that I get, and I will see all of you guys next year. Happy New Year's.